our garden class, Radical Self-Care, Nourishing from the Ground Up. We have our speaker, Julie, wonderful Julie here, and she is going to lead this out, and she'll give you a little bit of a what she does. Yeah, but my good friend Julie, thank you for being here. Thank you guys all for being here.
Yes.
So.
It's great to see you all. Thank you for joining us on this warm, getting hotter day. So my name is Julie Pennington. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I contract with Tribal Health as a mental health therapist here. I love it here. I've been here for almost 4 years now, I think. And I've been doing the gardening classes for 3. So I really enjoy being out here and getting a time to share the love and the knowledge of 2 of my favorite topics, gardening and mindfulness and wellness. So I want to start with an acknowledgement. We are joining today on the land of the Pomo people, and we acknowledge the Pomo people as the original stewards of this land and honor their ongoing relationship, knowledge, and care. The land holds knowledge. The land remembers. In Pomo ways of knowing, land is not separate. It is our relation. There's a native saying that many tribes, many nations embrace, and that is, we are all relations. We are related to each other as people. We are related to the ground that sustains us and helps us survive and feeds us. And we are relations with the bugs and the plants and the trees, the ocean, the waterways, the four-legged people. And in many native cultures, we refer to these other entities as the standing people or the four-legged people or the winged people, the growing people or the green people, the soil as people. It's a way of saying beings as much as it is, and it's very much the concept of community embraces more than just people, but all of the other entities that share the earth with us and are necessary for our survival, and we are necessary for theirs. And that's a really important part of gardening as well as self-care. So, to care for the land is to care for ourselves. Today we're going to invite you to explore self-care as a relational, land-based practice. The garden becomes a space for slowing down, attuning to your senses and your sensory experiences, and reconnecting with cycles of growth and rest. So, I have an opening meditation, and I'll invite you to close your eyes or stand if you're comfortable doing so and stretch as I work through this. You can sit and close your eyes for it, or you can stand and stretch and use it more like a yoga experience if you'd like. I call this grounding and growing as the tree. Begin by noticing your breath. Feel your feet on the soil and your weight against whatever is supporting the weight of your body upon the earth. Feel your own roots growing from the soles of your feet into the cool, dark, moist soil of Mother Earth. Feel your spine, neck, and arms reach into Grandfather Sky, stretching toward the warmth of the healing light of the sun. Sway your arms and fingers in the breeze or stillness, feeling the temperature of the air on your skin and face. Listen for the sounds of the garden and nature all around you. Taste and smell the air with every breath as you breathe in. Feel the nourishing oxygen fill your lungs and release the carbon dioxide returning out of your body, going off to feed the plants. Focus on your lungs, bringing oxygen into your blood, where your heart pumps into every cell in your body, exchanging the oxygen for the waste our cells need to be rid of to make room. And the cells now are cleansed. The blood now brings these wastes down through those roots and back to the dark of Mother Earth. She will reclaim these wastes, and through her natural composting processes, she will return to us again the nourishments our bodies need to grow and thrive. In this way, as in many other ways, we exist with the earth and all other living things. We care for and are cared for by and through these natural cycles and the wholeness that is life and earth and all our relations. Focus for a moment as you come back to the here and now on self-care as something we practice with the land, not separate from it. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'd like to start by talking a little bit about what we refer to as stewardship of the land. It's much like the phrase we use of self-care for the garden, or self-care for our bodies. Land stewardship is to Mother Nature and the earth. This is a concept that is vitally important to all of the nations of indigenous populations everywhere on the earth. The idea that we are here to live in connection with the land, that we care for it as it cares for us. So, does anybody have examples of how you may, in your life, provide stewardship for the land, engage in activities that care for your own personal space and land, or the greater land as a whole?
Using water bottles instead of plastic.
That's right. Yeah. Anybody who ever engages in recycling, you've got a piece right there. It can be a very simple everyday type of thing that we've just incorporated into our life. Yeah.
So once I get to know a plant and what it's worth and what it does for us, I find it really difficult to pull it up and throw it away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got various wild plants around my yard that are kind of like working their way. And you'll notice that they'll start out, maybe a bird dropped a seed, and the next year they put more seed out, and there's more, and then there's more, and it's like, yeah, it can get overwhelming. But I don't like to just throw it away.
Yeah.
I like to do something with it, something constructive.
Absolutely. Many people don't know this, but one of the most common weeds around here, the dandelion, that people think of as an intrusive weed, is actually one of the best food sources for humans, for animals. My dogs love to eat it. They roll in it. Of course, they roll in anything, but the cats will chew on the leaves as well. And the greens, every part of the plant is edible. And the roots are regularly used in tea as a calming agent. And it's one of the things that can sustain life when all other are sparse. It takes very little water to grow and grows quite well here wild. And most people treat it as an invasive agent in the garden, but it's actually quite a valuable plant in a lot of ways.
I just have containers, like I get the 5-gallon bucket, and I just put the dandelion seeds on there,
Mm-hmm.
and I can cut it and just use it in salads. And
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
the roots and I use it in tea.
Yep.
Great stuff.
Yeah, and the yellow flower not only is edible and can be used in salads and things like that, but also was used as a dye. It's used as one of the strongest yellow coloring dyes that's available. And because it grows so prolifically, it's always available. So one of the first things they teach us in a foraging class.
Plantain. I'm so grateful for plantain. Put it on the itchy bite. It works better than anything I've ever got at CVS.
Yeah, plantain is an amazing plant as well.
And edible.
Yep.
Yeah, I used the poultice for plantain on an area that I cut on a mandolin.
Mm.
So like this, and all of a sudden it's like, and I couldn't stop the bleeding, and so
Yeah.
my husband said, well, I gotta get stitches, and he goes, well, that means you'll be in ER all night. I'm like, oh no, I'm not. So I took plantain, ground it up
Mm-hmm.
into a poultice, put it on a paper towel, slapped it on, and used masking tape to make a cast. And in the morning I checked it again, and it looked so much better. I just kept changing it twice a day, and by the 5th day I didn't need stitches.
Nice. Yeah. A lot of the plants around here have healing properties that we're not even aware of in a lot of ways.
Mullein too. Mm-hmm. Mullei's like another one of those super plants. I don't think they're indigenous plants.
No, I don't think mullein is,
Mullein
but
or
it's
plantain.
definitely, yeah. Plantain is one of the ones that came here with the colonists and became naturalized. And actually, in some ways, has crowded out other plants.
Yes.
But
But it's got a lot of benefits.
yes, there are very, very good benefits to it as well. Yeah. Okay. So, with land stewardship, much like self-stewardship, reciprocity means taking only what is needed and giving back. This creates balance and prevents harm, both to the land and to self. So, I'm going to read a section from Robin Wall Kimmerer, her book Braiding Sweetgrass, where she talks about the honorable harvest. And these are native guidelines, indigenous guidelines. These are from the Ojibwe people, which are part of the Anishinaabe Nation. That's from the Great Lakes area. But I really feel like it's a beautiful way to think about foraging in any area, because it's really about balance, about, well, honoring what we take and only taking what's needed. This is an ethical guideline for gathering resources or foraging, that is, the things that grow naturally around us. It shifts our relationship with nature from one of extraction, which is what most of our industry and capitalism is based on, is how can we get the most possible out of the land, out of the space, out of the resources available, and instead shifts that to one of reciprocity, where we're living in balance. We know that extraction only drains the land and the resources of everything that's needed, whereas reciprocity allows the nature to regrow and exist in balance and perpetuity. It's what we call sustainable nowadays. This ensures that we treat plants and the earth as kin rather than commodities. These principles are not rigid laws, but an intuitive framework to minimize harm and demonstrate respect for the gifts of the earth. The core principles of the honorable harvest include: know the ways, understand the names and the needs of the plants that sustain you. You mentioned, you mentioned getting to know the plants, and that's a really important part. Spending time being with the plants is an important part of the harvest itself. Introduce yourself. Approach the land with accountability and state your intentions. Let the plants know you're here to care for them and nourish them, and in turn they will nourish you. Ask permission. Wait and listen for a practical or intuitive answer, and respect it if the answer is no. This is a practice of becoming quiet and listening to the plant's message. Sometimes it means feeling the raspberry and seeing if it's ripe yet. Other times it may mean noticing that there's only one of a plant, and that if you take that, it will be gone from that space. It might come in the weather, discouraging us from being out in the heat for too long, and therefore maybe not harvesting as much today as we might on another day. And if you get a sense that today isn't the day to be doing that, then change your plans, if you can. Never take the first. Always seek out other patches to ensure that you are not taking the very first offering. If you take the very first one, you might also be taking the only one. And then again, that plant is gone from that space permanently. Never take the last. Leave enough behind for wildlife, spores, and future reproduction. Take only what you need. Never take more than half of a population, and ensure you leave plenty for others. Sometimes taking more than half of a plant will kill the plant, and then again it can no longer grow there. If you take more than half of a population in a given area, you're significantly decreasing what's available to the rest of nature, or to the continued survival of that plant. Avoid waste. Show reverence for the life you have taken by utilizing it as completely as possible. Sometimes this means that we don't use all of it in the way we think, or for the purposes that we are intending to use it for, but by composting the rest, we're not wasting. Because compost is recycled back into the earth and goes back to nourish the future. So just because something is dying does not mean it's wasted. I think a lot of us people can really appreciate that as well. Share. Generosity from us mirrors the generosity of the earth. Give thanks. Offer a gesture of reciprocity, such as prayer, a song, or physical care, to sustain the ones who sustain us. On the back side are just a few of the local Pomo teachings and representations that we use not just to see in the gardening or foraging, but also become an example for us in life. The acorn or black oak represents food, patience, and transformation. Many people may not know that when you first make acorn mush, it is quite bitter. And it actually takes some processing before it's edible, or palatable anyway. What begins as bitter becomes a nourishment through care. Acorn teaches that time, labor, and right relationship turn struggle into sustenance. The willow tree. Willow represents structure and flexibility. Community is also part of what willow represents. Willow bends without breaking. It teaches us to move with change and stay rooted in relationship. My favorite phrase that I think of when I think of willow is going to escape my mind at the moment. Flexibility and structure. Both can be true. That's the saying I like to remember with willow. Both can be true. If you ever look at a willow tree, the way the branches droop always strike me as the upside down tree. Instead of reaching up toward the sky, it reaches back toward the earth, which I think is a beautiful image of the circularity of life, the cycles of life, and the wheel of life. Tule, or bulrush, very common here along the edges of the lake, and anybody who's ever been to the Tule Festival has seen the building of boats from the Tule reeds. They're quite beautiful. They represent shelter, water, and home. Tule grows where land meets water. It provides shelter, protection, and materials for living. Homes, boats, and mats were made from this plant. The tips of the Tule plant are edible, and they can actually be eaten. Some varieties of Tule. And while it grows in the water, the stems are full of air, which is how they make boats out of it. They just strap it all together in this amazing bundle and shape it into a boat that can float and take you to the middle of the lake. Sage, and we actually have some white sage around here somewhere, I know. There we go, that's what I thought so. Back over here, yes. Sage represents cleansing, intention, and renewal. Sage teaches intentional clearing, to tend the space, to tend the self, and to begin again in a good way. Throughout our day, we take on burdens, pain, we use up energy, we interact with our environment in a way that sometimes causes scratches and cuts, and ways in which we give back. And we also take on some of the discards, some of the compost or wastes from the things we go through every day. And sage has the wonderful ability to help us cleanse ourselves of that energy and absorb that again back into the earth. In a few minutes, we're going to go on a little bit of a walk through the garden. And one of the things I want to encourage you to do is, and we're going to talk about using all of our senses. And one of the things I would encourage you to do is just brush one of the white sage leaves and then smell your hand. And it's very easy to pick up the smell of the sage. In fact, I'll smell it quite a ways away, that I'm sensitive to smells. But just as you breathe in and out from that, go ahead.
It smells like BO.
Some people think that, I suppose, and some people might use it as a deodorant, I guess. But it's a wonderful earthy smell. And it's quite cleansing for a lot of people. You'll notice as you smell it that you actually breathe in slightly deeper. Much like mint. Mint actually is known to open the airways, and it does the same thing. And sage is one of the four plants that is considered sacred by almost every tribe. Sage, sweetgrass, red cedar, and tobacco are the four sacred plants that are connected with the four quadrants of the medicine wheel, and are generally considered, some different tribes will have different focuses, but they're generally considered sacred across tribes. They don't grow everywhere, so different tribes will have different focuses on which one is the most important to them. But it's interesting that amongst such varied populations, there are some things that are common. Not many, but these four are common across all of them as to be considered sacred. Okay. Inside and outside. In this way of knowing, in the indigenous way of understanding the world, inside represents safety, belonging, and care. You might think about inside your body, or inside your family, inside your tribe or greater community, inside the village, inside the garden, versus outside. Outside is less safe, and where we still tend, and we consider things that come from outside as gifts freely given, versus the things we tend to very specifically and control more of inside. So we like to think about the ways in which we grow. So I'll invite you for a minute to think about the ways in which we grow inside the body. Think about our heart growing and compressing. Think about the child growing from infant through childhood, through teenage years, to adult. And even we continue to grow in wisdom and understanding of the world as we get older into our later years. Think about how we grow inside the home. We grow into a place that becomes our own and part of our larger family. And that brings us to inside the garden, or inside the village. And villages grow or reduce as space is made available for other people, as people in our lives leave and go off to their own journey and come back to us as well. Or new people come into our lives. And so our relationships grow over time as well. Inside the garden, there is a natural cycle in the garden. During the summer, we have these beautiful summer vegetables and a bursting of growth that happens through the spring and into the summer. And then into the fall, when we start to harvest and bring things into the home from the garden. These are all ways in which our own personal experiences are connected to our experiences in the garden, and how we live in those same cycles of nature. Just as the world turns through its seasons, we too grow through our seasons of life. And then inside the community, things change and grow in our community all the time. I notice there's a beautiful park downtown now, where there used to be some kind of broken down buildings that nobody ever really went around much. We grow and reclaim space, and we change the purpose of it, even our buildings. And for anybody who's seen any of the apocalypse movies, you know that they're always represented over time with nature taking back the space when people stop maintaining it for their purposes. And in that way, nature does reclaim all over time. Okay. In these ways, again, the garden becomes an extension of us, a place where we tend not only plants, but also allow ourselves to slow down and listen to our inner thoughts and experience and exchange with the garden. And in this way, we nurture also ourselves. Okay. So now we're going to spend probably 15 or 20 minutes taking a special walk through the garden. So here's what we want to focus on as we walk. We want to focus on mindfulness, walking gently upon the earth. Learn from the world around you, the plants. Reach out and touch them gently. See how they respond. Ask yourself, what is there for you to learn here today? What can you learn from these plants? Who can you connect with? Remember, the green beings in our garden are our relations too. Do you see insects or birds? Hear the water running? Move slowly and at the pace of the garden. Notice with all of your senses. See, smell, taste, feel, and hear. I notice we have some beautiful borage over here, which is absolutely amazing to take a little flower and put it in your mouth. They taste like cucumber. And sometimes you'll get a little drop of pollen, of nectar in there that the bees have left that tastes a little bit sweet. It's a wonderful source of vitamin A. And oils, essential fatty oils that we need. Make space instead of removing. Harvesting isn't only about what we receive. It's also about the space we leave behind. This allows for more growth, for a bird or animal nest, for another plant or fruit to grow. Where we remove weeds, we allow more room as well. When we focus on making space, it's not about getting rid of bad. It's about allowing space for new things to grow. Tend with intention and respect. Thank every plant as you harvest or weed or touch. Recognize the life that you might remove and the gift that is there in the garden. The gift of more space and the gift of life. The gift of the things we can touch or smell or hear. Give back through care, attention, and gratitude. Thank the plants as you harvest, if you harvest. Spend time connecting with all our relations. Look for leaves, flowers, stems, fruit, air, ground, movement, insects, reptiles, animals, birds, self, other people. All of these are our relations. So as you walk through, think, what is here for you to learn today, and who can you connect with? So we're going to take about 15 to 20 minutes to walk through the garden and just think about who's here to connect with, your fellow people, your other fellow beings, and what is there for you to learn here today. And when we come back, we're going to talk and share those things, okay? Mm-hmm. One of the things I love about tomato plants is that everywhere you see a branching of the leaves from the stems, when another sprout comes up between this breakup, it's actually another whole tomato plant. That could actually, before it had fruits on it, you could actually have cut that off and planted it in the ground and it would grow a whole new plant. It's amazing in its ability to reproduce and develop clones on its own body. And one root system that sustains the whole plant. And these beautiful little pointed arrow flowers. It is. And down here, this looks like some borage that seeds dropped and just sprouted up out of the ground.
Nice.
It's beautiful. And some more wonderful little tomatoes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And this is lavender. Yes. Do be careful of the bees, although they generally won't bother you. They just want their flowers. And the strawberries. This is the borage. That is so beautiful. And if you pinch the little nose that sticks out, you get a little purple flower. Oh, not as the yummy part. They do. Yes. And it heavily drops these seeds everywhere and will just freely reseed every year. If you take a look, the spent flowers where they have come off, you will see these little pods. And each of these little pods, oh, another flower. These little pods inside will develop, and you can open them up later, and you'll see the seeds inside that grew from the flower. And those seeds that every single one of these branches will develop can be replanted and grow anew. In fact, it's hard to get rid of once you start it, so keep it in containers. And this is some beautiful mint. Yeah. Oh.
Stevia here.
What's that?
And then there's some lemon
Is that
balm,
what that
looks
is,
like.
stevia? Yeah, that's what I was
it is
using, the
lemon
lemon balm. And the poppies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. These
Stevia.
little poppies. Yep.
And then motherwort. Right? I think it is.
This one? Yes. This one's the motherwort.
Motherwort is good for.
Oh, gosh. It's one of the ones I use in almost every tea. So I don't always remember what it's used for. But motherwort is, yeah, it's one of the ones that's, I think it's an anti-inflammatory. I have to remember. I can't keep all the knowledge in my head anymore. Right. We've got some beautiful thyme over here, too. It's another kitchen herb that the bees love.
Great pollinator plant.
Yes, very good pollinator and wonderful to make tea out of as well as cooking with it. I see they've got some calendula here. This is great as protection from the deer because the deer don't like the smell of it. It also has a very strong, kind of icky smell. Calendula. Yeah. And it makes a beautiful little seed head. So you can actually kind of see it mimicked in the flower before it blooms. But after the flower has bloomed fully and the petals will die off and you'll get these beautiful curled seeds that look like a little claw in a full circle pattern. And they're absolutely beautiful. I love looking at the curved seeds. I never have to worry about what seed that is. It's so distinguishing. So, and we have another kind of mint here. Oh, that's lemon balm. Yes, that's beautiful. I love the lemon balm. Another wonderful mint or tea herb. Chives?
Yes.
Yeah. Most people are familiar with chives in your baked potatoes.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks like you had a leek here too. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really big one. Oh, green onions, yeah, okay. Are those the walking onions?
No.
They kind of look like it. They've fallen in the ground over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're not the walking onions. What's funny is these seeds here will actually start growing on the flowers still.
Yeah.
They'll start growing here and you'll see these little green sprouts coming out of the flower head where the seeds have started to sprout already. And then you can take those off, of course, and just plant them. And we have our citronella. Not true citronella, though. It's just called citronella. Yeah. Is that what that? Oh, this? That's the poppy. Oh, that guy is the okra. Got it. I love these poppy seed pods, too. They're so cool when they dry. They just kind of break open and sprinkle everywhere. And the beans. The beautiful big bean leaves. Look at that. And some squash. Is this a gourd? Is this a gourd or is it a...
It's tobacco.
Oh, it is tobacco. Okay. That's beautiful. I might have to steal some of your seeds from that. I've had trouble getting it to grow. Is it? Nice. Oh, really? That would be awesome. Thank you. That's cool. Yeah, the beautiful long flowers. These are just the shape of the flower. You can tell it's great for the hummingbirds. Anything that's got this long kind of a tube on the flower means that it's going to attract the hummingbirds to the garden. Hummingbirds also like really bright colors. So I grow pineapple sage that has these beautiful long tube red flowers. and the strong smell that's beautiful as well. It's one of the ones that's a very calming smell to listen to, or to smell, to listen to. I'm listening to smells now.
Listening to smells.
Yeah, and the water. This is one I love to, especially on a day like today where we need the cool water. And this is a butterfly bush, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. And the sage, yes, the white sage. Some important things about the white sage is that if you ever find it growing in the wild, don't pick it. Make sure if you gather seeds from it, make sure you take as many and spread them out around the plant as possible so that it reseeds. Many people will go out and collect the seeds and the plant will die off because it only survives 2 to 3 years before, if it doesn't have new sprouts, it won't replenish. And so if people take all the seeds, the plant will die off and it can't regrow. So one of the things that can be really helpful if you take seeds from it in the wild is to make sure you're taking just as many seeds and scattering them around the base of the plant. Those will start to grow as this one starts to die, and it will naturally recycle. But if you take all the seeds and don't leave many left, then you lose the plant. And sweetgrass, one of our other sacred plants, yes. Sweetgrass is one of the ones that actually likes to be harvested. It grows back stronger when it's harvested. So when it gets too compacted, it actually needs to be thinned out to continue growing. The reason she named her books Braiding Sweetgrass, Robin Wall Kimmerer did, is because of the interconnection. In order to braid sweetgrass, you have to have somebody else or the earth still holding the plant. So you can actually braid the sweetgrass as it grows here and then cut it off. Or you can cut it off and have somebody else hold the other end while you braid it. She also talked about how it's extremely difficult to grow from seed. So it grows best when roots are pulled up and shared hand to hand with other people. That's the best way for it to grow in community, much like we do. I love the lilies. And basil! Anybody not familiar with basil? Anybody who has ever had pasta of any sort has probably had basil. Look at the beautiful zucchinis growing. So while the leaves have spikes on them to keep the deer from eating them so much, the fruits of the zucchini plant are actually a little damp and have small hairs on them, if you've ever noticed it. Now, the bigger they get, the less hairs they have on them, but when they're still really young, they actually feel really soft. It's quite beautiful. Okay. And comfrey. There's some beautiful comfrey. Comfrey is also known as bone knit bone, one of those. It can be used to reduce bruises, but it was actually known to help heal broken bones when wrapped around the skin. It's a wonderful herb. It's great for balms and salves, skincare. I use it in a lot of my healing lotions and oils. I have a very high level of skin allergies, so I actually have reactions to almost everything they sell at the store for skincare. So I have to make a lot of my own stuff with beeswax and grapeseed oil, and I make a lot of my skincare stuff comes with comfrey because of its healing properties. Oh no, somebody did exactly what I was talking about. They took one of the cuttings and planted it in the ground. One of the cuttings off the tomato plants and planted it. It's beautiful. And this looks like savory or marjoram. I'm not sure though. Those are different flowers. So beautiful. Come back over here. The tomatoes will also have these furry stems at times. Little hairs on there. They help to catch water out of the air. And beautiful peppers and tomatillos. And more tomatoes. And one of my favorite crookneck squashes. Look at the cute little squashes. Something really cool about squashes is they have male flowers and female flowers. And so you'll see male flowers will have just a stem up to the flower. The female flowers, you'll actually see a miniature version of the fruit before the flower itself. And if the flower gets pollinated, that fruit grows into the fruit. If it doesn't get pollinated, the fruit and the start of the fruit and the flower will die and fall off. You'll always see the male flowers coming out first to make sure there's plenty of them to pollinate each individual female flower, because the loss of those female flowers it takes a lot of energy to produce the female flowers and the fruit. And so if there isn't pollen already available to them, the plant potentially loses all of that fruit benefit and all that energy it put into it. So you'll almost always see far more of the male flowers than the female flowers. And some people like to eat the flowers as well as the fruits. It's really cool. But again, the very prickly leaves discourage the deer from munching on them. In fact, here is a really good example of what happens when a female flower doesn't get pollinated. You see the fruit starting to die off there too. So that one didn't get pollinated. And some people will help with pollinating these by taking the male flowers and peeling the leaves off and taking the pollen and dusting it on the female flowers. And actually increase how many of them get pollinated that way. It's also really helpful to cut back some of the leaves so that you only have one layer. If the leaves are overlapping each other, then all they're going to do is get in the way of the pollinators trying to get into the flowers. Because all the flowers are down here at the center. And as we walk, pay attention to how your feet step into the soft bark and the beautiful pollen floating through the air. Here's a great example of that miniature, and the flower on this one hasn't bloomed yet. So you can actually see the teeny tiny little crookneck squash where the flower's coming out of it.
Do you know this plant?
Well, it looks like a succulent. I'm not familiar with it, but
It's purslane.
is it purslane?
Highest
Okay.
form of fatty
Nice.
omega-3
fatty
acid
acid.
on the planet.
Nice.
And it's
I
trying
like
to
that.
get in the garden. It's over
Yeah,
there.
it grows in everywhere.
It's over there. It's over there.
That's awesome.
It's good for us.
Yeah. Yep. One more of those things we try to get rid of, thinking that it's a weed. And
If you go to the back of the garden, you'll find a bunch of plantain back there, which is just
mm-hmm.
as nutritious as kale, they say.
Yeah. Yeah. This is something called, it's a type of, they refer to it as a wild lettuce. It's also referred to as poor man's opium. It actually has some pain-killing properties. You have to wait until it's about to flower, and then you harvest the leaves off of it. But it's one of the milky sap weeds. So it has a white milky sap when you break it off. And that sap can be distilled down to be used for, it's about the same strength as like ibuprofen or aspirin, except it's got all the other things in the plant that help soften it in the stomach. So it doesn't do the damage. I'm not sure. That's one of those things. One of the things with using any herbs at all is to really be aware of your own personal reaction to them. Because something that's really healing for someone else might actually have too much of something for you. or you might have a personal allergy to it, whereas somebody else has no allergy at all. So it's really important. It is important to know that any of the milkweeds, any of the substance, any of the plants that have the white sap that comes out when you break them open, part of that white sap is a type of latex. So if you have latex allergies, you do need to be careful of those.
So can you tell us anything about using poppies for pain relief?
Oh, thank you. I know that poppy seed, the poppies that we grow here, the California poppies, don't have nearly as much of those substances in them as the ones they use to make opium.
I'm not talking about that, but the root. Someone told me the root was used by the natives as medicinal.
It could be. I know there are a couple of different plants, like Angelica, you can chew on the root, and it does have some pain-reducing properties. I've not heard that about California poppies. I know there's some, but I'm not sure.
I was getting correct information or not, but it's always interesting to research it. They invaded one of my garden beds this year, so I was like, well, if there's something I can do with it, I'd like to know what it is.
Yeah.
Just for the process of learning how to process it.
Yeah. There are many native stories that talk about something being provided to someone right before they're going to need it. Animals that show up just in time, or paying attention to the behavior of the animals and that telling you that something's going to happen. Birds moving their nests right before a big flood. Many native stories talk about these kinds of instances, and it's really seen as a way of relating the story of how important it is to listen to what the plants and the animals and the world really have to tell us.
I have a question if I can interrupt.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
I noticed some purslane over there, and it's in a pot.
Oh.
So I kind of want to taste some of it, but I don't know if that's appropriate or not.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the white flower over here.
The tobacco?
No. You have a white ground cover flower looks similar to a morning glory. They're at the park.
Okay.
And it's all back there. It's on the other side of the fence and the fence.
Okay.
Could you identify that?
I'm not sure. I'm not an expert at identifying plants unless I've actually worked with them.
And can you grow purslane in a box?
Yeah.
Here it's got tons of vitamins.
Yes, it does. And it does. It's like wild lettuce. It does grow here wild. It doesn't take much caring for. But it can be grown. You know what it is.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, how would I find out about the white flower? It's a white ground cover flower.
Okay.
And I could get an app on the phone, but a lot of those things don't work.
Yeah, I actually use one of those myself at times.
All right. Well,
I have a couple that are quite useful.
I'm gonna taste that personally.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, the best way I have for identifying flowers is I'll take pictures of them and take them over to the Master Gardeners program over at the visitor center and ask them.
Is that purslane? Is it in particular piece?
Can you show us the purslane over here and the part of it that you eat?
It's everywhere.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, but I'm not as used to identifying it. Oh, this one here. Okay. Got it. So, we'll get you some. Yeah, she'll get you some.
I kind of like that.
You like that one here? Okay. Because it's where you can reach it. You got it? Okay.
Don't take my word for it. You need to research what it is. Make sure that you understand what this is. This is purslane.
Okay.
And it grows all over the place.
I can taste the vitamins in it, for sure.
And it's one of the most nutritious sources of omega-3 fatty acids, according to what I'm hearing. And I've been eating it, and a lot of the people in our community garden are starting to eat it.
Nice.
And I'm telling the other people that don't want it, give it to me. I would have had a big bucket of it, but I ended up coming over here before I went to the garden this morning because I got a bucket of it waiting in my garden.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's beautiful.
So they
Thank
might
you.
be growing that on purpose in that raised bed over
That might be. Do you have purslane growing intentionally? Or is it just...
grows and I leave it.
I got you.
there.
Okay.
Do you harvest it?
Sometimes I will for smoothies.
Hmm.
I use it in a smoothie.
Nice.
It's really good
Yeah.
in salads and because you can
Yeah,
see
it's got
it.
a good taste.
No
It's
bitterness.
a nice, yeah, it's got a nice
The more it flowers,
subtle
the
flavor.
more bitter it becomes.
Oh, okay.
It looks like
But yeah,
So
that's
before it flowers is better.
it's
But yeah, I have definitely seen that growing.
and you can easily
Wild.
take a little of it and it keeps growing.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
pulled some because they wanted out of the tomato bed. I pulled half of it and I put it in a little tub of water, and they're all coming up higher and
Nice,
higher.
yeah.
And he pulled the rest before I could get out there and get the rest of them. So they're waiting in the garden today.
Yeah.
But they'll be
Nice.
fine. They're succulent.
Right on. That's great. Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing with
Oh,
us your
sure.
wisdom.
Well, we do what we can.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I really love about this class is that I inevitably learn something as well as what I'm here to talk about. I'm gonna go ahead and sit down again for a few minutes. Yeah, yeah. Man, this heat is really getting to be a rough one early.
I really like what you say, telling people to tune into what their body says about something,
Mm-hmm.
and asking your body, is this good for me? Is this something I should go ahead and use? But also make sure you research anything that's wild.
Yeah.
Because there are certain things that can kill you.
There are.
Like the hemlock.
Yep.
Hemlock.
Well, and
She had an experience. She picked some.
Right, I picked what I thought was a great big old wild carrot, brought it home because I wanted to Google image it, and my thumb went numb. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And I Google imaged it, and it was poison.
yeah, yep.
Dead man fingers.
It's better not
My finger went dead.
So she's talking about finding some wild hemlock and picking it. She didn't know what it was. She thought it was a wild carrot. And by the time she got home with it, her hand had started to go numb. So it's really, really important, especially when you're foraging in the wild, to really be sure and listen to anything your body gives you clues about. Honestly, there are people who are not allergic to bees, but get stung by a bee that's been on a plant that is poisonous, and then have an allergic reaction, and it can actually develop into a regular allergic reaction to a bee sting. It can become an anaphylactic response to a bee sting that you acquire instead of something you're born with. And these are really important things to be aware of. I have 7 dogs at home right now, and 5 of them are big dogs, and we have 39 acres. So our dogs are out and about on the property all the time, and I have to be really careful that I'm not hugging on them when they come back in, because they will come back in right now having rolled in the poison oak. And my daughter-in-law for 3 weeks now has had her forearms covered with poison oak because she can't help but hug on the dogs when they come in. And the same is true of my cats. They'll get into things and come back with oils on them, and I won't realize that I've been exposed to something I'm allergic to until I have a rash of something. But it's also really important. There's a certain type of tomato that grows wild here. It's frequently called garden huckleberry. They're little teeny tiny black tomatoes, and I actually grow them intentionally in my garden. They're a form of nightshade, as all tomatoes are. And a lot of people are allergic to this particular type. And so one of the recommendations I heard for ensuring that you're not allergic to anything is to make sure that the first time you try something you're not absolutely certain about, that you do something like spreading it on your skin first in a sensitive area where the skin's thinner, making sure you don't develop a rash there before you eat it, or spread some of the juice on your lip to see if you have a reaction to it. taste the tip of it on your finger. Yeah, don't start by eating handfuls of something before you know how it's going to affect you, right? And these are, to get back to the topic, ways we care for ourselves in our natural environment as well. So we really do have to listen to our bodies and our reactions to things, because even something that's purportedly completely safe for everyone might be something you have an allergic reaction to. They used to think that latex was something people couldn't be allergic to. That's why they used it for surgical gloves for so long, until they started seeing people with allergies to it. We can only think something doesn't happen until we see that it does.
So can I
Yeah.
point something out?
Mhm.
So if you're testing things, don't just do all the things she mentioned. You
One at a
find
time.
a sensitive spot and you put it on a sensitive area, and then you wait a couple of hours.
Yes.
Okay. And then if that's okay, then you go a little bit further, and like she said, you put a little on your tongue, but you don't eat it.
Right.
And then you wait a couple of hours, because if something's going to react, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And you don't want, and it's like a time bomb. Once you eat something, it's going to be in there for what, 8 hours maybe?
Minimum.
So
Yeah.
you may not be able to get it out. So you want to really be careful as you introduce yourself to a new plant.
Right.
Make sure you know it. Make sure first. Then very, very cautiously, you go
Yeah.
step by step. Test it on the skin. Either wait 2 hours or even a day.
Yeah.
Come back to it the next day. Taste a little bit. Wait the next day. It's like, may seem like a long process, but in the long run, if it was something you would react to, it's saving you a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm. It's also really important to think about the ways in which we introduce it to ourselves. So one of the things I learned with foods, because I don't always know what everyone uses to cook with, and I have a lot of food allergies, I start by smelling something. I put a little bit on my plate and I smell it first. And if the smell seems like even just something I dislike, then I'm not going to try and eat it. And the same is true of the plants around us. We start by smelling them. The things with the strongest smell, like I love sage and I love the smell of it, but it doesn't smell appetizing to me. So that's not something I'm going to try and eat. Certainly not a fresh leaf, and it's quite astringent. Rosemary's the same way. I love a little bit of the smell, but too much of it is overwhelming. Many of you who've talked with me before know that I am what we now refer to as neurodiverse, which means that my whole nervous system works a little bit differently than most people's. This is seen in my sensitivities to a lot of things that other people would never even think of. But it means I'm extremely sensitive to smells and touch. And so things that other people think are soft, I find scratchy, just because my skin is more sensitive to it. My brain also works differently than most other people's. I get migraines. I have some traits of ADHD. You've seen me sitting here drinking my caffeine. And that's to help control my ADHD, because by the time I'm doing therapy a little later today, I need to be able to slow my mouth down so that people can follow what I'm saying. Because my mouth tries to work as fast as my brain, and that doesn't work so well. But when it comes to plants, that means I have to be exceptionally careful. I'm going to smell something and wait and see, does it turn my stomach when I smell it? If so, I'm not going to try and put it on my skin, because I'm very likely to have a reaction to it. Some things have very subtle smells. Other people wouldn't even notice there is a smell, but I do. I have a really hard time eating kale. Even what other people don't find bitter at all, I will have a very strong bitter response to. Come to find out, I'm actually allergic to some of the vitamins that are in the kale. I have too much of in my body. This can also be true of something that changes from day to day. So part of my own self-care is recognizing that if I taste the spinach today, the same spinach I ate yesterday, I taste it today and it doesn't taste good to me, I'm not going to eat it today. Not because it's gone bad, but because maybe I don't need those vitamins today. And this is a form of mindfulness that can help guide our eating, so that we're eating things that are more nutritious and more likely to bring in the vitamins our body needs and less likely to overload our body with vitamins we don't need. There will be days where I find tomatoes amazingly sweet and other days where I'm like, that's way too acidic. And it's the same tomato. So it is really important that we do tune into our bodies and pay attention. It's also a way of honoring both our bodies and the food we consume. To take a bite and feel the texture in your mouth, taste the flavor, smell the smell of it. Take the time to chew it fully before you swallow it. One of the things I learned as I learned how to eat in more healthy ways was every time I take a bite, I put my fork down and then just enjoy the sensation of eating. Now, do I still grab food on the run? Of course. There's too much to get done in a day not to sometimes grab food because you know you have to eat. But as often as possible. Just like I try to allow for myself to spend one full day in the garden each week. I also try very hard to at least one meal a day sit down and really focus and concentrate on the nutrition I'm putting in my body. Believe it or not, what we believe about the food we eat changes how our body digests it. There was actually a study done of people who were given a piece of cake to eat. And they were given a piece of cake that they were told was sugar-free and had no fats in it. And they ate the cake and then they did blood tests within an hour. And then they did the same thing with a piece of cake they gave to people and told them it was full sugar, full fat, completely decadent, the best cake you could ever get. And they ate the cake and then took blood tests later. Well, the people who were told that it was sugar-free and fat-free actually got hungry again sooner. Is that me? Sorry. Oof. Sorry. The people who were told it was sugar-free and fat-free actually got hungry again sooner. Their blood tests actually showed an increase in ghrelin much sooner than the people who were told they were getting a full-fat decadent cake. So there is an extreme amount of power in our brain in what we tell ourselves about the food we eat. If we believe that the food we're eating is what we need to nourish our body in a healthy way, our body responds as if the food is healthy, even sometimes when it's not. But reminding ourselves that the nutrition we put in our body has a vital function in our life. It is there to provide nourishment and sustenance for our bodies, and we need our bodies to survive. If our body doesn't survive, we don't survive. Without our bodies, we cease to exist in a lot of ways. And so it's really important that we focus on putting good, nourishing things into our body and focus on the fact that we are nourishing our bodies with those things, rather than thinking of ourselves as being deprived. Like, oh, this is sugar-free, it's going to taste awful. Well, if you decide it's going to taste awful from a mental health point of view, if you've already decided it's going to taste awful, I can guarantee you're not going to like it. Our brain has a way of making what we think come true. So if we think that good things are going to happen to us, good things will start to happen to us. Good things will continue to happen to us, and we will notice them more. If we think that bad things are going to happen to us, bad things will happen to us. If we think good things will happen to us, bad things will happen to us too. Good and bad things happen to everybody. But if we look for the bad things and we focus on the bad things, the only thing we'll see are the bad things. If we look for the good things and focus on the good things, what we'll see are the good things. Both are there. The most important thing, really, is that we choose to focus on the things we want more of. That we pay attention to the things we want to have in our lives and the way that the world is providing for us, rather than the things we think we're missing, or the bad things that happen, for the things we don't have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Sound good?
it's getting kind of warm.
Yes, it is. And I want to have a little bit of a break before I have to see my next client. Thank you guys all for coming. I greatly appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
So,
Yes, absolutely.
wanted to thank you so much.
Yes.
But show you guys this. This is the QR code. Please